What is happening, guys? It is Monday morning, and I think I get the trifecta award today because I got the mumble hangover, I got the snow plowing hangover, and we're about to get round 2 of the snow a little bit later on because it decided to do a loop-de-loop around the lake and come back. So here we go. We're going to do a little quick drive. If you don't like this kind, you know where the stop button is or your back button. So how does the saying go? Beware of the Ides of March. And this is what I consider that to be. You know, it's the end of March here, and we haven't had snow in, 3 weeks, and very little last month, and almost nothing in January, and nothing at all in December, I don't think. Maybe 1 or 2. So we got, I'd say we got a good solid 3 to 4 inches last night, and it never got cold. It stayed right around 32, 33, 31, somewhere in there, but mostly right at freezing or right above freezing. And it is now, it's like 35 out. So this stuff is disappearing pretty quick, but you know, you see the roads are pretty dry. The roads aren't bad at all. When the temperature's this warm, and there's a lot of moisture content in that snow, it doesn't take much salt to knock it off the road. A little bit of traffic on it, and even though it's, you know, overcast, the sun still does help in warming the surface temperatures up. So they're saying we'll probably see another 1 to 3 inches, but to my best guesstimate and my 20 years experience, that might hit the grass, but that is not going to hit the road. The surface temperatures are going to be too warm today, and we had a good percentage chance of snow last night, but you know, that carried into this morning. Winter storm advisory, blah blah blah, that sort of thing. And I think our buddies down south, especially southern Ohio, southwestern or southeastern Indiana, maybe even central Indiana, got this storm too. So kind of figure Tom at Tom's Wonderful World probably saw a decent amount of snow yesterday or into this morning, and our buddy Silver Horse Daryl down in toward the Dayton area probably saw some snow. I saw you put up a time-lapse video of it snowing yesterday, so we actually didn't have any snowfall till well after midnight, maybe even 2 o'clock a.m. I'd taken the dog out to do her business about 2 a.m. and it still wasn't doing anything. And then I went out at 4 a.m. and we had almost 3 inches of snow. So in a 2-hour stint, we had a fast and furious snowfall come through, and that's about it. And I don't mind pushing the 2 or 3 inch super wet snows because they bind together, and you don't lose much of it off the side of the plow, even though we've got the wings, which you guys have seen after I installed those. Those really keep things cleaned up, you know. Excuse me, guys. I just woke up a little bit ago. I had about a 2-hour nap. And then we have a cleaning service come clean our house once a month. And of course, I was asleep for about somewhere between an hour and 2 hours. And knock, knock, knock on the door, and the cleaning lady let herself in. So I don't do well sleeping with other people banging around in the house, especially people that are not my family. So I figured it was time to suit back up and head on out. So we're just heading into town, and we're going to check out a couple of the places right in the center of the snow where I salt. So see what kind of job my salt did. The roads look good, but the roads get a lot of traffic on them. And I finished up about 8 this morning. So snow like this I can usually jam out in about 4 or 5 hours. We used to work, 10, 12-hour days, 2, 3 trucks, but there's a lot of guys out pushing snow for nothing around these parts, so the guys in business, you have to fight tooth and nail to keep your customers, because it's a very price-driven market for sure. I have a dozen very loyal customers that I've had for years and years and years, but it's the other people, they change their contractor like they change their underwear, or at least like we hope they change them. So there's a high turnover rate for that. And I apologize for a shaky cam, but I'm actually holding the camera, hoping the audio will be a little bit better. When I strap it to the back of a sun visor or the seat back with my portable mount, this Kodak PlaySport, it just destroys the audio. Oh, and I had another thing to add to my trifecta of problems. If you guys watched an earlier snowplowing video this year, I was bitching and whining about the overdrive light on my gear selector down there flashing at me, and that ended up being the let's call it the Prendle switch, neutral safety switch, whatever you want to call it, that goes on the side of the selector shaft on the transmission. For some reason, these aftermarket ones, and even some of the GM factory ones, I had one go on the Allison. When they take a dump, it's usually in the middle of a wet, snowy, slushy, sloppy time of the year, and the transmission will just go into stupid mode. And at least on the Allison, on the Duramax, it does that. It doesn't know when to shift. It'll try and start out in third gear, and doesn't have a lot of power and doesn't know what to do and things like that. Well, the Ford 4R100 metric, which is basically a glorified E4OD, or a samey-same, I'm not sure. Damien would be the guy to ask on that. SRV Jedi Knight, he's my tranny guy, or Bronco Carl, he's the other tranny guy for sure. These trucks, the engine will stumble when you go to accelerate and reverse. It goes forward fine, but when that stupid overdrive off light flashes, you try and accelerate and reverse, so you'll come to the end of a windrow where you're pushing snow and you pick the plow up and you go to back up and it goes wreck, like the 7.3s do, and it doesn't know what to do, and you let your foot off the accelerator and you get back on it, and sometimes it smartens up and other times it stays in stupid mode. So we milked it through that this morning, and of course it quit doing that probably toward 8 o'clock this morning, so it hasn't done it since. And it's only been 3 months since I changed that switch, and the previous one was about a year old, maybe 11 months old when it took a dump. So it might be time to go dig up some of my paper route money and go to the Ford dealership and go buy the factory one, because the factory one on this truck worked fine, except for the fact that the little center ring inside of that selector that spins, the O-ring was walking out of it. It had swollen up because this truck had been oil sprayed so many times, and obviously not much care was taken around those sort of components when my buddy owned the truck, which is, not a big deal. It's not an expensive switch, but that O-ring swelled up and you couldn't shift the truck smoothly from park to reverse, or select through the gears. So hang on, I see a cop up here. I'm gonna duck the camera down. So anyway, that was one of my buddies there with his big Freightliner there, salt the parking lot. Hopefully that cop wasn't pulling him over. State trooper. They like to check on people's CDLs and check their medical cards randomly around here. So yeah. So anyway, getting back to that stupid switch. The Ford one worked fine, other than it just made it stiff to move the gear selector, and when you're plowing snow, that gets old real fast. Your hands and your arms get tired of spinning the steering wheel and moving the gear shifter. especially on automatic, because I'll take, you see my hands resting up here, and I'll use, this is my left hand, I'll use my right hand to work the snowplow control right there. I'll hold that up in my hand, and I'll reach over the top of the column and I'll grab the gear shifter and pull it, you know, back and forth and kind of steer with my wrist when I'm going from forward to reverse. And that thing was so damn stiff before, I mean, it just wore me out trying to move it. And you couldn't feel a positive detent when it shifted into a gear, because you were fighting it so hard, you know, that little pop when it goes into gear and locks into place was really not very pronounced after fighting the gear shifter. So yeah, this stuff is like mashed potatoes, or Super OB10 calls it marshmallows. It's like this isn't marshmallow fluff. This is more like a cross between slush and barely snow. And even though we only had 3 inches, this stuff was heavy as hell. If you stopped with a pile of it in front of your blade, you didn't start going again, especially my Super Duty with no limited slip rear axle. Plowing driveways that have steep inclines are fun too, because just a little bit of weight in front of it, it takes all the load off the suspension, and I'm about out of salt and don't plan on buying any more if I don't have to, because we only got to cover our accounts until 31st, and it looks like after tomorrow I have enough to salt one more round. It looks like after tomorrow the forecast is going to be warming up, so even if we do get one of those renegade early April snows, our contract's end April 1st, so unless it's a real bad one, we won't fight it, and usually the temperatures are warm enough at that point that we can scrape it off and the sun will pop out and burn it off. So one thing about this kind of snow, if you don't get it off the ground while the sun's down, you know, you let it go during the day like this, it just starts compacting worse and worse. And if people drive over it, it turns everything into a hockey rink. So, alright, well, that's enough BS for a little bit here, and we'll turn you guys on here in a little bit, and maybe BS a little bit more, but I don't want to make this too long. We're already about 12 minutes and I'm into town, so I'll turn you back on in a bit. See ya. Alright guys, I'm back. I had to put the camera on the charger coming through town. That's the other reason I cut you guys off. So we're back on now. We're going to have a couple more minutes of chit chat time, and we'll call it a day. So just keep you guys rolling here and enjoy the scenic ride. One thing I like about snows like this is it's starting to fall off the trees a little bit now, but it sure makes the trees look nice. You know, they don't have any leaves on them yet. The poor things are starting to try and bud out, and the flowers are trying to come up, but you know, it's that time of the year where we're right around you know, Easter, and things are trying to wake back up. I noticed my yard was getting pretty green. I hit it pretty hard with fertilizer, and ran a power seeder over it because I can. I own one, so I did that in the fall, and it's pretty green underneath all this slush that's on top of it now. But yeah, I wanted to thank a couple people too on the Mumble chat last night. Wanted to thank Darren for helping me out yesterday and taking my phone call with the problems I was having painting the Duramax, and appreciate that, buddy, and really enjoyed that conversation. I like that kind. It's funny how you talk to people from YouTube and it seems like you've known them forever. Just a real good bunch of guys in the garage gang. And we were talking about the extravaganza a little bit last night down in Florida, May 3rd through the 5th. Friday, Saturday, Sunday kind of deal. And if any of you guys don't know about the extravaganza and are interested in meeting some of the guys from the garage gang who'll be there, I'm planning on being there. So you know, there's probably a good group of guys going to go down there and hang out for the weekends right on the beach in Daytona. And you can contact Andrea about that, and she'll give you the info. And I'd like to thank you, Gary, for offering to give me a ride from the airport if things work out. And we'll know once I get my plane ticket scheduled what's happening there, so appreciate it. Oh, here we go. We got the way station open. We got another cop, so I'm going to set you guys down. It's funny to see all the state troopers out today enforcing law, because all the schools are closed around here today because it snowed so late they couldn't get them cleaned up in time for school to start. That's a problem with these late morning snows. You know, you get them in you know, facilities like doctors' offices and schools and things like that. It's real hard for them to do what they need to do if their place isn't clean. But it's our local vocational school. There are times I look back and wonder if maybe that wouldn't have been a good route for me, but I stayed in the regular high school and went that route. They have some good programs there. They teach auto body, auto mechanics. I don't think they have a diesel mechanic program, but they may by this time. That was 20 years ago, so. And it's literally less than 1/8 of a mile from my shop, because you see we're slowing down here already and getting ready to pull in. So yeah, I was surprised that the school's closed, but you know, thinking about it in retrospect and doing what I do now, there's just no way for them to get them cleaned up. They were trying to do it at about 7:30 this morning, but school starts at 7:30, so it just snowed too damn late, and we have a lot of schools and not a lot of maintenance guys with plow trucks that work for the schools. Got a lot of real estate to cover there for sure. We've got 4 or 5 elementary schools now. When we oh no, we have 6 or 7 elementary schools now, I'm sorry. And when I was going to school, we only had 4. So in the last 20 years, they've built 3 more. And they built another middle school. And I'm waiting for them to ask us for money to build another high school. I'm not looking forward to that. But our town has grown quite substantially, and then of course the bottom fell out of everything, so everybody's working somewhere else and nobody's working in our town, but everybody's kids go to school here, so we'll probably have to pay the price for that. You know, people are still moving here, but they're working somewhere else because it's a decent place to live. So alright guys, that's kind of it for today. I've bullshitted long enough, and I'm tired, so I'm probably rambling. I hope everybody has a good day. Push the record button. I need some videos to watch later, and you guys should already have a video on painting the Duramax, which was done yesterday, getting those doors finished, and I got some trash in them, so I haven't decided yet. I think I hit all my bodywork sin that was giving me problems before, but they got pretty trashy yesterday, and that tends to be what happens. I just keep pushing on, and with paint, you know, you put your base coat down and you only have 24 hours to recoat it with Matrix or PPG, or a lot of them for that matter. And I knew I was going to be working today, and I was going to be in no shape to paint today, so I pushed through it, and the clear didn't lay out quite like I wanted it to, but we'll see if it's you know, one of those deals where we can sand and buff it. I sand and buff anyway because there's trash, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what it looks like. I checked it out real quick this morning, but for my tired eyes, I wasn't willing to sit there and nitpick it away, so we'll probably revisit that later in the week. Maybe give it a cut and buff in the middle of the week, or at least cut it and see what it looks like, see if the trash comes out of it, and maybe buff up a couple of the spots just where I was having my reaction go on, and make sure that that stuff isn't crawling around underneath my clear coat. If not, you know, maybe we'll have to wait a week or so here and give it a good blocking down, take all the peel back out of it, and put a light coat or two of base coat over it and be done with it. Lock down all that trash that's underneath there, and then hope to hell when I put it out in the sun and it really starts cooking, then it doesn't swell up like a balloon. So, alright guys, we'll catch you on the next one. Have a good day.